Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of the Clipper Nation. I'm so happy that you are joining us today on a Friday. We're just going to wait a few moments for people to trickle in and for Mark, our guest CEO speaker, to come hop on stage because he's got some great announcements for us. We have our wonderful head of design, Drew Tozer, in the audience. She'll be on standby for chat. While we're waiting, this is also being recorded to go up on YouTube. So I invite everyone to go to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe. I am going to drop that link in main chat so that everyone will go there, because if we get enough subscribers, we can change from YouTube/random string of text to YouTube/Clipper or YouTube/Shipyard Software or whatever we need it to be. So I'm going to drop that link. Everyone head there. Give us a follow. Mark just pinged me. He's joining right now. We are recording. And just stick around for just a few more moments and we'll get right into it. And here's Mark. Thanks so much. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of the Clipper Nation. Thanks so much for joining on a Friday. Today we're going to be talking, this is our September community call for Clipper. We're going to be talking about a number of things. I'm going to do a couple housekeeping announcements. I'm going to pass the mic over to Mark. Mark, as you know, is the CEO of Shipyard Software. Shipyard Software is the software company which designed Clipper, which is based for retail traders. And today we're going to be talking about some architectural changes to Clipper to protect our retail community, why we are doing that, closely aligned with our values. We're going to talk about some of the things that have happened over the past months and what's exciting and upcoming in the future. Again, this is recorded and will be placed on our YouTube channel. I've placed our YouTube channel in the main chat. I invite everyone to go there and subscribe. If we get enough subscribers, we will get to have a custom YouTube link. And if you have any questions for us, make sure to @ myself or Mark in the hashtag AMA channel. I see a number of really good questions from Rusty, DeFi Gen. These are our community leaders. I'm teasing that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So you can also raise your hand. We can bring you up on stage, or make sure to @ me. And DeFi Gen is telling me that my voice sounds somewhat robotic. Oh, everyone, and it says that it's okay now. So here we are. We got 53 people in channel. I'm sure more people will come. And what we're going to do is I'm going to bring Mark. I'm going to invite him to the stage. And I would like him to talk a little bit about what the changes are that are coming to be launched this weekend to go live on Monday and why we're doing it. So Mark, thanks so much. And I pass to you.
Hi. Thanks, Ben, and hi, everyone here. Thanks for joining. Ben, just before I get in, do we want to do this first, or do we want to do community values first?
I think they're both closely tied. The reason that we're making the change is community values. So why don't we talk slightly about community values, go into the change, then we can go larger into it.
Okay, cool. And would you like me to do community values, or do you want to talk through that?
Well, how about you give the soft launch to it, and then after you talk about the bot change, I'll go deeper into how they're connected.
Okay, great. So as a community, we need to align our efforts and what we want to accomplish together. And the best way to create alignment between a really broad group of people is to have shared values. You know, in a tribe, values are how we decide what we feel pride in and what we praise each other for, and what we feel shame around and what kind of make us feel uncomfortable. And so it's really important to define these, because that creates our culture together. So Clipper's values are going to be knowledge, camaraderie, and playfulness. I think all together we want to grow and share knowledge together. That's something we can all feel pride in, anything that's increasing our collective knowledge. Camaraderie is also really important. We are all comrades in this journey together. We want to help each other, and we want everyone to be successful together. We can be more successful together than as individuals. So that's camaraderie. And 3 is playfulness, because play is fun. It's great. It's for its own sake, and there's no reason we can't have fun when we're doing this and be human and vulnerable. And so we want to encourage play as well. So those are 3 values, which we'll talk more about in the future, and really go into depth in them and have blog posts on them. But those are, those are values that we really want to guide all of our behaviors. Okay. With that said, we also have a very clear kind of purpose and true north for our efforts here in the Clipper community. And that is building the best decks for retail traders. That's what we're doing. Everything has to come second to that, because it's really hard to build something important if you're not focused on one thing first. Okay, so there's a problem we've had recently, which is bots are making it harder for retail traders to get the best price. The bots aren't inherently a bad thing, but here's what bots are doing. And in things like Uniswap, there's data out there that over 50% of usage is bots, right? I don't know what the actual number is, but it's a lot. So it's an inherent part of the model, but sometimes it can be problematic. And the reason is because if bots are doing trades that are adverse to Clipper LPs and actually basically put LPs on the bad side of a trade, then it creates loss for LPs, which has to be made up in fees. And those fees has to be charged to retail traders. And so that is net bad for retail traders. It hurts our ability to provide best prices for retail traders. So we are testing a new approach, which is going to limit bot activity so that retail traders can have better prices. How are we going to do this? We're trying out flipping from a blacklist model to a whitelist model. So today, anyone can just kind of trade on Clipper unless their wallet is on the OFAC blacklist for obvious reasons. Going forward, there's going to be a big set of wallets that are whitelisted and allowed to trade on Clipper. And if your wallet isn't on there, then you can't trade with Clipper. Now, whitelist is a loaded term. It's a pretty light whitelist. Anyone who's interacted with Clipper to date and their on-chain activity looks like a retail user, you're already whitelisted. Your wallets are whitelisted, so you won't see any change. Okay, new users in the future, in order to make a trade, are going to have to connect their Discord account, and then they can add all the wallets they want to. Okay, so why is that? Because Discord's decently good at preventing too many bots. It's really just a way to prevent bots, and it also makes it easy for us when bot activity happens to just kind of disable that, remove those wallets from the whitelist. So that's pretty much it. Now, again, the reason is because retail users are true north. It's a test, and that test has a trade-off, which is openness to a lot of developers, but ultimately trade-offs are hard, and you accomplish great things by being willing to make trade-offs because you have one thing in mind, and our thing is you, retail traders.
Right, Mark. Thanks so much. And I do appreciate how you started off and ended with what our true north is, which is what Clipper was built for. We want to make sure that this is an exchange built for the retail trader community, small and medium trades. And that's really what guided us here, because it's a relatively large change to go from anyone can interact to needing them to come into Discord. Now, so I don't want to understate. We understand that that is a big change. At the same time, we do see this as an opportunity to build the community. First of all, because we want our members in the Discord. That's our best place to disseminate information. It's where we hang out. It's where we learn together. It's where we build a true community. And then really the whitelist process, it's relatively simple, right? You go to clipper.exchange/events, you tie your wallet to your Discord ID, and you can go forward. But we do it because, if we hadn't done, we let bots can drive a lot of traffic. It can send up some of those vanity metrics, a lot of volume, but we want the best prices for our retail traders, for our LPs. And so we do it for you. And while we make this change, we're going to begin to emphasize and continue to emphasize our values and make Discord really the home for Clipper Discord, for the Clipper community. And I think that, it's easy in this anonymous space to just kind of be a lurking user. You get best prices, and that's fine. DeFi is for everyone. You can do whatever you want. But we really do want Clipper to become a community. I think there is you can be drawn to the idea of let the Clipper admin team handle everything. And it's because of the competency of the dev team and the design team and everyone who's part of it, Clipper's doing big things. But you have to understand that it is the internal team is fairly small, and it takes a village, right? We need to do this all together. We've just launched coves a few months ago. We still rely on the community to make those coves as large as possible, to make sure that there's liquidity so you can trade every token that you want with best prices. So we really need to do this all together. That's purely on-chain. And when we talk about doing it together as a community, for instance, we just had this OP Quest launch a week ago, and we have tons of new users coming in the Discord who don't really know what's going on with Clipper. So they ask a bunch of questions, and generally it will be myself and some of the dev teams answering, but really that needs to be the job of the community itself. We want to be self-reliant so that just like the Clipper website, if it went away, you could still interact with the smart chain. That's the beauty of DeFi. It's the same thing. We want the Clipper community to be totally self-reliant, so you don't need the internal dev team to answer questions. And wonderfully, we've seen a lot of that. I mean, you can see the power users like Captain T and Rusty and Risky Jambalaya and Tokyo. I mean, that's just naming a few. If you go into our main deck and you go into our hashtag help channel, you see our actual kind of regular community users helping each other, and we want to encourage that some more. So, and we believe that that's in line with our values of knowledge, camaraderie, and playfulness. So knowledge, this is a new industry. Web3 is DeFi has sharp edges. People can get hurt. And we want to make sure that everyone understands it. So we want to increase our total knowledge. And camaraderie means we do it together. And playfulness means we have some fun while we're doing it. So,
yeah, and
go ahead, Mark.
And I want to that point, I think the way to think about this is camaraderie. Like, this change in many ways is a retail trading club, right? And retail traders should be in that club, and bots, and hedge funds that are hurting retail traders. Like, that's not what this retail club with camaraderie in our community is about. And so I think it really adheres to that.
Right. Thanks. So let's take a few moments to head to the AMA channel. I know people have questions related not just to the bot, to this no bots allowed type of change, but also to the Clipper vision and the Shipyard vision as a whole. I invite you, if you have questions, ask them in the hashtag AMA channel, at myself, at Mark, or at Drew. Drew is our head of design, and she's rolling out the kind of the changes this weekend to go live on Monday. And if you have questions about what the user experience is, you can ask Drew that. Drew, you're welcome to hop up on stage and talk about that if you want to. Otherwise, we'll leave for some questions. But right now, I'm going to go to AMA. And Mark, I'm going to direct some of these questions to you. So the first question is from Rusty. Rusty, by the way, is one of our 35 community leaders. I'm going to be talking about what that means. That's a program that launched this week. But Rusty asks, pardon me. I actually want to start with DeFi Gen. DeFi Gen is also a community leader. Incidentally, DeFi Gen was the winner of our Polygon week. He was the big boss, so he's a big power user. And he asks about, we teased Longship. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the call. But DeFi Gen asked, will the new Shipyard product Longship be associated with Clipper, both in terms of protocol, i.e. using Clipper liquidity pools for leverage trading, and in terms of community, will Clipper community achievements transit over to there? Mark, why don't you speak to the first and I'll speak to the second. And I think you're muted still. Well, while Mark unmutes, I will talk
Thank
about...
you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that's a great question. And I think Admiral DAO is part of the answer here. So why don't we explain, just give a little bit of preview about Admiral DAO, and
Perfect
that will
segue.
make the obvious, I think, clear.
Perfect segue. Go for it.
So we're a community, and our broader purpose is to create free and fair markets. And to do that, it's not just about Clipper. It's going to be about a lot of different markets and dexes that help create free and fair markets for different types of users in different types of ways. And so that's why we're creating a DAO. The DAO is Admiral DAO. And it actually has an entity, Admiralty LLC, which is incorporated as a nonprofit member-managed LLC in the Marshall Islands, which is, a really fast-growing jurisdiction for DAOs. Check out mydao.org if you want to learn more about that. And so Admiral DAO is going to govern Clipper. Now, we here are all going to be members, hopefully, in Admiral DAO. So today, I am a member. The Shipyard team is a member. There's going to be, everyone in the community is going to be able to become a member. And so Admiral DAO is the boss. Shipyard is one contributor to Admiral DAO, but everyone here can, and I hope will, be a contributor to Admiral DAO. Now, Admiral DAO governs certain products. It governs Clipper and will govern the Clipper community. It will also govern Longship and other dexes that we as Shipyard design. So Longship is going to be governed by the same DAO that governs Clipper. And we here are the core of Clipper DAO, everyone here right now. So that's how they will interact together. If you are, there will be a separate Discord server for Longship when it's launched, because, it is a different user base, but there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination of our community because it's governed by the same DAO, which is right now us. So obviously Clipper community is the 100% of the DAO, Admiral DAO, and then Admiral DAO will be launching Longship. So there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination. We don't know exactly how the specifics of that are going to work, but I think it's safe to say that there's going to be a lot. Hopefully that answers the question.
Right. So Admiral DAO right now is fully the Clipper community plus Shipyard software. Admiral DAO is the boss, but as Admiral DAO grows and takes over the world, we'll have more exchanges and more projects and more DAOs, and you get to be a part of that. And what we like to do, a lot of the reasons we have these kind of awarding NFTs and adventures and all these Discord roles is that that's a way for you to demonstrate your activity within the Clipper community. And, the hope is that will also translate to your ability to govern Admiral DAO when it comes to that point. And as far as the community achievements, again, they are separate communities, but there will be Clipper achievements for using or for kind of like socially joining the Longship Discord and following the Twitter. In fact, let me drop links to the Longship Twitter in chat so that you can do that. But we already know we have a smart, savvy, interested, fun community within Clipper. And we know that you guys are retail traders. So if you're interested in what's happening in Longship, of course we want you there. And Mark, I'm going to let you ad lib for a moment while I find some links. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link to the Longship promotional video from our YouTube in chat. And I'm also going to drop a link to the Twitter. And I encourage everyone in the audience to go follow that. And while I let you ad lib, I'll give you another question to answer while I do that. So, okay, Bulver asks, Architecture Clipper is built on a unique FFM or FMM architecture capable of optimizing prices, but what can be done to ensure that this optimization does not have a $10,000 limit? Mark, I leave it to you, and I'm going to mute myself and find some links.
That's a great question. So there's been a lot of optimizations in the works, and we think Clipper can now be best for trades up to about $50,000. And the liquidity pool is now kind of open so that you can contribute more funds. And I think we're going to bring the liquidity pool up to maybe 30 or 40 million eventually. And that will, as that happens, Clipper will come competitive for prices up to about $50,000. I think it's not so much that Clipper couldn't be competitive above that, but more so that we don't want it to be competitive above that. There's a theory in market making where you want retail trades who are trying to make trades, but they're not trying to intentionally kind of take money from the people on the other side of the trade, right? It's like everyone here, they're just, making trades for their own purposes. And then there's this concept of like kind of over-informed flow or toxic flow, where it's like, you're a market maker or a hedge fund. You probably know more and are faster in the market than Clipper is. And Clipper doesn't really want that flow, because the likelihood is that over time that will reduce yields for LPs, right? It'll cause them to lose money. And if that happens, then fees have to be raised, which means prices get worse for retail. And so it's actually an intentional cap on the size of the trade in the pool, because we actually want to filter for just the smaller flow and not for the larger flow. And that's exactly the reason that now we're trying to filter out bot flows, because it's just another way of saying, hey, this is over-informed flow that's bad for LPs, just like we think a lot of large trades are. So that's just another example of an intentional design trade-off, as opposed to trying to uncap the limit.
Great.
Feel free, if that wasn't clear, feel free to ask again.
Thanks, Mark. And we have a few questions. So the purpose of this call not only is to unveil our community values and just start emphasizing them more, not only to talk about the bot change, but to recap what we've been doing and tell about our plans for the future. And a couple of the questions get to that. So Mark, let's start transitioning towards what we've done and in the future. And Leo Wasatu, who is one of our community leaders, he asks, as we know, liquidity is the most important thing of a DEX. Maybe you might have disagreements with that, but that's his premise. Liquidity is the most important thing of a DEX. Is there a promotion plan for sponsorship program? And is there any schedule like multiple DEX liquidity aggregation?
Liquidity is super important. Because I think there's a few ways to think about DEXs. So in the case of Uniswap, it's really a two-sided marketplace. They want infinite liquidity and infinite users. Clipper's a little different. Priority is retail traders, okay? Actually over LPs. But the only way to provide good prices to retail traders is by giving a good deal and good yields to LPs. So of course we need LPs. And we do want more LPs. I think that Clipper actually has quite good yields right now, and I expect in the next several weeks they'll get better, especially after this kind of blacklist to whitelist change we're making. But I don't think those are properly appreciated by like the markets. So I think we want to make yields, including the sponsorship, more visible in more platforms that track yields. And I think we want to do more marketing around them. And I also think that, through the OP Optimism grant we've received, there's going to be an opportunity to do some liquidity mining with those as well. So yes, we are pursuing initiatives to try to attract more LPs and make that more visible to people.
Great. So a few follow-ups from what you just said. Where is the best place for people to see the data on the attractive yields that Clipper offers? And then second, I just want to give you a chance to kind of tell the audience a little bit more about the sponsorship program and why it's important and what benefits it entails to the DAO and also to the community.
Sorry, it broke up. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. So it's first is just for the community. What's the best place for them? You mentioned that we have pretty good yields. Where's the best place for them to look and see our attractive yields?
Clipper.exchange/data.
Perfect.
Token Terminal also does a pretty good job. And we're going to, be providing some other dashboards, I think, to make it easier to compare it to other yield farming opportunities instead of just showing the way we calculate it, because, everyone calculates it a little bit differently.
Great. And the second part of the question, because you mentioned sponsorship, and I'm going to drop a link to the sponsor program blog post in main chat, but if you could just give about a nutshell about what the sponsor program is and what the benefits are to the sponsors, to the community, and to the DAO. Why it's so important.
So Clipper can generate higher yields than anywhere else. And one reason it does that is because the liquidity pool is capped, right? If we let $1 billion of capital in, then it would dilute the yields. It would spread across everyone. So instead, Clipper's pool is capped. What that means is your yields get really high, but there's limited space. So first, we want to prioritize retail traders. And that means anyone can contribute up to $10,000 in liquidity. Above that, you're taking scarce space in the pool that would otherwise go to another retail trader. And so we say, you know what? That's fine. If you want to put more capital to work, please donate half of your fees to the DAO so that they can be used to help, build things for retail traders. And I think that's a win-win-win for everyone. And so if you want to put more capital work instead of $10,000, $100,000, or $1 million, you can do it on chain through the sponsorship program. You still get really high yields, and you're helping grow Clipper's community. So we really encourage people to do that. I believe up to $100,000, it can be done non-custodially. You can just go ahead and do it right now. Above $100,000, you'd have to contact us because the process is a little more complex, just because it's such a big deposit relative to the size of the pool.
Got it. Thanks, Mark. So I think what we're going to do now is transition to kind of recapping what we've done over the past few months: the Polygon Week Community Takeover, the OP Quest, the Messari Mainnet Odyssey Party event, and we're going to talk about what we have in the future. Mark, I know you're a busy man, so if you want to hop off the call, you're welcome to. Of course, you're welcome to stay, but we are going to do a little bit of a transition now. So, and let me just wrap up a few of the questions. Someone asked, are there any job opportunities at Clipper? You can go to angel.co/company/shipyardsoftware/jobs. The link is in AMA. We invite all talented people to apply, but you don't have to work for us to be part of the community. And that's actually, I'm going to transition into a program that we launched just this week.
I'd also like to jump in, if you don't mind, and answer Mady Seko's question, because I think it's really good.
Okay.
First, the Discord has some restrictions. I'm actually not sure exactly all the restrictions Discord has, but that's a great point. There's, the goal here is to just make sure it's real humans using the product. So, we've already whitelisted every address that's used Clipper that we think is human. So, if that's you, you don't have to auth with Discord. Discord is just one easy tool to do that. If for some reason there's problems with Discord, like we want to explore and whitelist any real humans. So we'll figure out ways to do that.
Right. Our purpose here, we want to protect retail traders. So our community, as we're putting it, is Admiral DAO. The Clipper community is human users that use our website. Is like, that's the people we want in Discord. So this is our first attempt at finding the way to limit our universe to human users. And if there's better ways, we'll certainly work on it. Pardon, just had to cough. So I think now we can turn to talking about some of the stuff that we've done in the past. And as the purpose of this call was to explain our change, why we're doing it, and it's a focus around community. And you, the community, should know how much effort we put in behind the scenes working to cultivate the community, because it's somewhat a tough predicament. And Mark, actually, I don't have a fully formed question here, but it's a thought I want you to comment on, because I know in our conversations we talked about anon versus having a face to the team. And sometimes when you're anon, like maybe you don't have the best interest of the community at hand. But I don't think that's the truth here, because we do have anonymous Discord members, and yet they become pseudo-anonymous by putting their Discord face forward, their Twitter face forward. If we don't know their email, it's like we just know a wallet and a Discord ID. And yet the team has a face, but the team's not the entire community. So I wonder if you have any thoughts about anon versus pseudo-anon versus putting a face out, and what are the roles and purpose for people in the community? Putting you a little bit on the spot with a soft, like a nebulous question, but do you have any thoughts about that? And you might be muted still. And while he waits to unmute, the reason that we're talking about that is because, again, we want the community to come forward. We have to do this together, which means it can't just be the team. It has to be people from the community, and we want to elevate and reward and incentivize those people to come forward. So again, Mark's waiting to be muted, maybe needs to think about my somewhat nebulous question, but
apologies.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Go ahead if you have thoughts.
But repeat the question, because...
Yeah, so my nebulous question was, we really want the community, we're trying to elevate our community, right? And we're defining who that community is, and it's like human users. And yet there's a tension between anonymous and pseudo-anonymous, and then the team, which has a face. And sometimes the anonymous people can just feel like they can let the team do everything, but obviously we can't do everything. So I'm curious as to your thoughts about anonymous versus pseudo-anonymous versus people with a face and their roles and responsibilities within our community, within our Clipper community.
I think that it's fine if people want to be anonymous. I think pseudo-anonymous is also fine. I think that's most people's approach to crypto. And I think that, I think it adds a lot of legitimacy if you're not anonymous at all. But that's not necessary for every people, and some people aren't comfortable with it. And it's not the only way to build legitimacy. I think for Clipper, we want to make sure people are human, but that doesn't mean they need to be known to us. Anonymity is fun.
Right. And actually that reminds me of a question that got put into chat just a few days ago, wondering why the Discord verification required emails. And I just wanted to actually clear that up for the audience, because while we do use Discord verification to whitelist you, and Discord verification requires an email, that email is through Discord. We, Clipper, actually don't ask for that email. So all we have is a wallet ID and a Discord, and we don't want your email. We want you to maintain your level of privacy and comfort with anonymity within the community. And I know that...
To clarify that, we do not store emails. So it's a function of the Discord authentication integration,
right,
where in order to make, you can bot Discord. And so one way Discord prevents bots from botting Discord accounts is requiring email validation. And so in order to, request information about the validity of Discord accounts, like that call gives us access to, actually, I don't even know if they actually give us the email address, but certainly I wouldn't be surprised if Discord made that available to us, but we do not store it. And if Discord were to change its integration, we would not request it.
Right. And I know Ado and Tamo and Drew, some of our crack devs in the audience, can probably explain more about that. So I think Discord gives you the ability to ask for emails, but that's not something we don't store it even if it gives it to us. But I think we don't even ask for it, even though the little integration pop-up box says it gives you access to emails. We just want to be clear about that. Okay, so moving on to building up the community. This week, and about 3 weeks ago, we launched an application for community leaders, and we received dozens of applications about people explaining what they've done in the community and what they plan to do in the community. We took the best of those, and there's about 35 of those people. They've been given the role apprentice community leader. You'll see their name listed in brown. And so they're, like semi-vetted by us as being reliable and knowledgeable people that are willing to help. And what we've done is we've tasked them to start being part of the community. So it's not just on the dev team. So you probably noticed in the last few days when you ask a question in main deck or when you ask a question in help that these brown names are immediately rising up and helping you guys out. And that makes a world of difference in how the community supports itself. Because as always, it can't just be the devs. It can't be me. Often I'm not me, the head of community. I'm not able to answer your tech questions. So to have wonderfully tech savvy people like DeFi Jen, Rusty, Risky Jambalaya, Tokyo, Captain T to be there immediately on call to answer your question, it makes a big difference. And not only do they get Discord roles, not only do they get kind of elevated status in the community, but they're earning XP on something called our Crew 3 quest board. And the people that are most active will actually get financial incentives. So or financial rewards. So we're here to start building a self-reliant community. You're going to see the community leaders stepping forward to lead the way, but we want everyone to be a part of that. And if you're active, helpful, friendly, knowledgeable within the community and a good comrade, you approach me and we can probably get you that Discord role as well. We really want the community to rely on to itself. So that's one project we launched, was the community leaders, and in line with our community values of knowledge, playfulness, and camaraderie, so that we can be a self-reliant community that doesn't require on an internal team. Mark, you have any thoughts about that? And while he looks at I keep jumping out and put him on the spot when I know he's a busy man. While he thinks about it, we're going to talk about a few of the other projects that we did these past few weeks. About a month ago, we did Polygon Week Community Takeover. The purpose here was that we wanted to replace institutional liquidity within the Polygon main pool so that we could capture it for our retail traders. I see Mark's. Oh, pardon. And so what we did is over the course of a week, we had some guests come and explain about cool Polygon projects, and we would ask questions. And the community could participate by answering the questions by making very specific deposits into Polygon coves and pools. And we rewarded people who answered questions quickly, answered the most questions, and also made deposit thresholds. So I just want to throw some numbers at you. Over the course of that week, we managed to get over $180,000 of liquidity added across the Polygon main pool, and the coves were Hex, Frax, and Sushi. So 180,000 people. We had about 2,500 people sign up for it, and 1,000 people were able to answer at least one question correctly. We had 600 people answer at least 4 questions correctly, which earned them the Good Student NFT. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the OpenOcean contract, the OpenSea contract where this beautiful artwork NFTs were created. I just got to find it. Here we go. That's going to be up on the video screen for our YouTube watchers, and I'll post it in chat. And we had about 300 people answer all 8 questions correctly, and they got the Polygon Expert. What's really been a wonderful learning experience about the Polygon Week is that our devs formed a query to capture all the responses. And what we found out through the community afterwards is that there were issues with our query. So it was a real learning experience. that we hand in hand, devs with community, found out the best way to sort through these queries. And we actually learned that we were not capturing about half the people that had participated. So we have done a second query capturing everyone. And I want to let you know that we are minting and transferring those new NFTs this week, so that everyone who participated and earned rewards will get it. I'm posting the OpenOcean Polygon contract in, pardon me, I keep saying OpenOcean, OpenSea NFT contract in main chat, so you can see the great artwork. As I mentioned before, we have DeFi Jen in the audience asking questions. He was the winner of the Big Boss Award. I'm showing that NFT up on screen right now. It's such great artwork, and I want to give a big thanks to Drew Tozer, who designed these NFTs. While we're talking about NFTs, I want to talk about a future project that is coming this month. We're going to be launching Adventure 3. Last time we had 22,000 people sign up. We're actually going to cap it this time at about 35,000 because we want to make sure that demand is high. And we're going to be rewarding people for recruiting people to come into it. But let's talk a little about what's going to happen in Adventure 3. Similarly, it's very tied to our community values. We're building a community together. That's going to be sort of the narrative arc of Adventure 3. And one thing we're excited to release during Adventure 3 is going to be a character profile and inventory screen with NFTs that you can earn for on-chain and off-chain achievements. And I just talked about how Drew was designing NFTs. One of the activities that we're going to be asking our users to do is design these NFTs that are going to populate your profile screen so that you will have a chance, if your NFT is selected, and it's going to be fierce competition, you will actually get to have your NFT displayed on the character profile and inventory screen for people to earn, and then also earn a special Clipper creator NFT. And earning these types of NFTs really shows your loyalty, participation, and activity within the community, and Clipper never forgets our Clipper faithful. So that's Adventure 3 coming up. Thanks to Drew, and excited for everyone to sign up. That will happen in October. We're going to have signups starting in a few weeks, and we're going to have early access tickets being sold for that adventure so that you can guarantee yourself a spot on the ship. So if you were Amaranth Argo and you want to guarantee that you're on Amaranth Argo before the ship fills up, make sure that you buy an early access ticket, and we got more on that to come. So the next thing I want to talk about is the OP Quest, which started about 2 weeks ago. It's live until January of 2023. I believe it's live until January 17th. I'm going to pop up the Optimism Quest on screen so my YouTube viewers can see it, and I'm going to drop the link in main deck. So as you can see already, this is about a week old, and we have almost 3,300 people that have claimed the NFT on Galxe. And it's actually, what I've learned is that we made it a little bit too complicated, because most quests, there are 18 quests in the OP ecosphere, would have them only do one thing. We made y'all do 6, and yet we still have 3,300 people. So if you want to claim this very beautiful and cool and cute oat from NFT Galxe, which will also be able to be displayed on the Clipper character profile and inventory screen when it's launched, make sure to go to galxe.com/optimism and find the Clipper Quest. And we want you to deposit $20 into the OP main pool, swap in the OP main pool, and learn, and also swap in a cove, which requires that our users understand the difference between pools and coves. And wonderfully, we have new users coming in who don't understand that. So I ask you guys to point them to the Introduction to Clipper Coves blog if they have questions about that. Because the beauty of Coves is that you get to trade. Clipper becomes your one-stop shop to trade any token in Web3, in crypto, in the universe. But you don't have to have access to everyone else's altcoins. You just create a cove with the one that you want, and the balancing, the kind of, because you need two things to trade. You can't trade if a pool's just one asset. The balancing asset mix in each of those coves is your long tail token. And on the other side is the Clipper core assets, which are kind of usually wrapped BTC, wrapped ETH, and then the stables that are on that network. So the OP Quest asks you to interact with the OP main pool. And I believe the core assets there are wrapped BTC, wrapped ETH, Link, OP of course, DAI, USDT, and USDC. So interact with those and then explore coves to get our coves liquidity up higher. So we've talked about the Community Leaders Program. We've talked about the Polygon Week. We talked about Clipper Community Leaders, and we've talked about Adventure 3. I also have dropped the link to the promotional video for Longship. We hope that you will join the Longship Twitter. And I think we're nearing the end. So I'm going to hop to AMA and ask if there's any questions. And I do see a bunch of questions. And hopefully if I missed anything, Mark will let us know. And I see a question from Ben, who is one of our Clipper community leaders. And he asked, the positive feature mentioned for Clipper pools that a user can withdraw their asset from pools at any time without any restrictions. And does this feature cause instability in Clipper pools in some special situations? And as Mark rightly pointed out, that's a good question for some of our tech leads. So post that question to help. And maybe some of our devs can get in there. Oh, look, and Abe answered. He says, ideally, the set of Clipper LPs would be very diverse. That way, everyone is making their own decisions about when they want to withdraw versus deposit, and it promotes robustness. Pardon, I didn't get to the mute.
There's also little things that help with robustness. For example, when you provide liquidity, it's often locked up for like 2 weeks or 10 days or something like that. And that helps so that there's not some event where at one time a huge amount of liquidity could be withdrawn that would cause some instability. And then the final thing is, there's some protocol-owned liquidity so that, well, I wouldn't call it protocol-owned liquidity. I would say it's like committed liquidity from parties who were in our fundraising a year ago to make sure that there's just like a minimum amount to ensure stability. And so those are all steps we've taken just to make sure that instability isn't a problem. It doesn't become one.
Great, and we're actually approaching the hour, so I think we should end soon. Maybe this won't be our last question, but I noticed you talking about Moonbeam in the AMA channel. Do you want to kind of expand on our steps moving forward with Moonbeam? And while you do that, I'm going to drop the link to the blog post in chat, which speaks to it a little bit more too.
The truth is, I don't know. We're super supportive of Moonbeam. It's an amazing ecosystem. We think it's really cool. We want to be supportive. To relaunch, we would need liquidity, like a baseline of liquidity to ensure stability. To the question that was asked about stability, and the second is, I think some way to make sure that the same thing just won't happen again, right? I mean, we don't want to do it just for there to be another Nomad. And honestly, I think that there needs to be some innovation in bridging in order for that to happen. So those are all things we're thinking through, but we very much would like to re-enable it. But I think, the liquidity problem and the reliability of those tokens has to be dealt with first.
Yeah, right. And
I also
have
think
to
that,
smile. Go ahead, Mark.
I also think that really this is like a Nomad issue, and a lot of people lost funds, and that's like a Nomad, that's a Nomad issue. They're still trying to recover funds. Maybe they'll be successful, and so maybe that is how people will be compensated. Maybe they'll work out something else, but I think a lot of the compensation hopefully will be driven through Nomad, and TB. Let's see what happens there before we figure anything else out.
Right. And I have to smile a little bit because when you talk about innovation and how bridging done, I know that we certainly have some thoughts about that as well. So who knows? Maybe we'll develop some innovation for this. So we are coming close to the end of the hour, and I want to respect everyone's time. So I thought we could end by returning Well, just quickly saying the reason we're here is because we're making a change to the Clipper architecture in the sense that we're pivoting from a blacklist, meaning the only people who can't participate are those that are on the OFAC kind of sanction list. We're pivoting to a white list, which means that you have to be somewhat pre-approved before coming in. The purpose here is because we are taking active steps and purposeful thought about defining who is our community and who we want in our club. And that club is guided by our North Star, which is retail traders. We want human traders who actually even use our website. And that's the reason for the change. And while we make that change, it gives us a chance to emphasize our Clipper community values, which is something we put a lot of thought into and are becoming forefront. You know, knowledge, camaraderie, and playfulness are our values. There are a lot of principles that derive from that. And we're going to be grappling with those as a community, both through our community leader program, through Adventure 3. We're going to have this, you know, front and center in Discord and also on the website. So we got a lot of community values coming, and it all stems from our focus on you and us, the community. We're in it together. And Mark, let me give you the stage for final words, and then we'll say goodbye.
I think that was well put. I'm really excited to be building this together and building a real community, which, as we continue building more products and decentralizing, is going to make a big difference in the world with, you know, free and fair markets. And in my personal opinion, if you create free and fair markets, that helps people be prosperous. It's the biggest driver of prosperity in, you know, human history. And when people are prosperous, they can advocate for their own political power. And that's really the best way to help people take power and empower themselves rather than try to directly give it to them. And so I feel, you know, what we're all building here together is very meaningful. And so thank you for joining.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Clipper's doing big things. It feels really good to be a part of it. All right, I say goodbye to everyone. Make sure to follow Longship_5. That's Longship's Twitter. If you haven't already followed Clipper_Dex, that's Clipper's Twitter. And then please join the Shipyard Software YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. It's new. There's a lot of cool stuff there. There's the Longship promotional video. We want as many subscribers as possible. As always, the best place to find us is in the Discord channel. You can @ anyone on the team. Make sure that you @ the community leaders liberally. They're there to help. And everyone, we got to do this together. So you know what? We're pirates. Let's take over the world. Thanks so much. See you guys later. Bye-bye.